Hey guys, Red Eye Gaijin here. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Chinese people in Japan. So I guess I'll start with sort of one of the areas that is a little bit more focused on in the media in Japan and internationally, and that is the introduction of the Chinese mafia or the Triads to Japan, and I think that's where basically a lot of the negative press around Chinese in Japan stems from. And I'm by no means an expert in this area, but what I do know is that at some point in the 80s and 90s, groups of triad gangs or triad mafia groups began to move over and start settling in Japan. I think mainly illegally, and they sort of set up shop, if you like, around some of the Chinatown areas. So spending most of my time in Kansai, I was more aware of the presence of triad gangs in and around Kobe, being a trading port. There was a lot of movement between, or there is a lot of movement between China and Japan and the rest of the world, actually, by ship, and a Chinatown, actually a very large Chinatown exists in Kobe. And then you've got I guess part of the population who are Chinese in and around there are associated with these triad gangs. And I think that there's a lot of interest about the interactions between these triad gangs and the Japanese Yakuza. As far as I know, in general, they work together. So I would imagine that the Chinese triads are either bringing things in and trading them with their Yakuza Japanese business partners, or probably in addition to the Yakuza supplying the triads with various goods that they would then pass back through their connections into mainland China. So I'm sure there's a bit of international business going on between the two groups. And I, as far as I know, the trend had been that the Chinese triads were growing and growing in numbers and strength in Japan, while the Yakuza were sort of on the decline. So the switch in the balance of power has sort of begun to swing toward the Chinese gangs, the Chinese triad gangs in Kobe. Anyway, so if you know some more about this, I'm really interested to know about the dynamic between the two. So leave a comment or give me a little video response about that topic. Another perhaps even much larger population of Chinese nationals living in Japan come in the form of international students. So it's an interesting one because I think most people think about Chinese international students as people going overseas to learn English and then a degree. And so you've got, the well-known models of US, Australian and UK universities where they'll basically recruit students from China into their English language programs and then get their English to the point where they can study their degrees in those countries. But I don't think it's as well known that actually up until a few years ago, there were actually more international students studying in Japanese language schools and Japanese universities and private colleges than there were that actually were going to Australia. And I think the numbers are up over 100,000 annually of these students from China coming to Japan and studying in the Japanese education system. So what I would love to know is what happens to these people after they've obviously got a personal interest and sort of some sort of sympathy or they can at least relate to the Japanese people more than the average Chinese person would. So how do these people feel, these Chinese who have gone and spent, anything from 1 to 5 or 6 years studying in Japan? How do these people feel about the recent or ongoing political issues between the two countries? And you would imagine that 100,000 or so people a year is a substantial number, and if some of these people ended up in leadership positions, there's got to be some sort of positive outcomes for the two countries that come of this group of Chinese students that year after year. I think the numbers have gone down, especially after the sort of series of natural disasters that happened in Japan, around Fukushima, and earthquakes and volcanoes and typhoons and everything. But it's still by far the largest number of international students in Japan come from China, followed by Korea, but it's not a close second. So just food for thought, I guess. Perhaps the future of those two countries lies in the hands of some of these people who have studied or lived in each other's countries. I know too that the number of Japanese studying in China is going up each year. So just putting that out there. That's about all I want to talk about on the topic today. Just touching on a few issues related to Chinese in Japan. Red Eye Gaijin. See ya.